Right, we're recording now, and Ben, you are back.
Yes, back and ready to attack.
Oh, attack! Why? Why
No,
attack?
it's just like a saying,
Really? Or is it you're stating your intention?
No, 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 no. It's just a saying. I say it generically, man.
I'm like, okay, like, ooh, save me. No, look, I'm happy to have you back. And of course, there are lots of questions. Obviously, each time we do this is 40 minutes, and it's a quick 40 minutes. And I prefer it not to be longer than 40 minutes anyway, because then people switch off. Not lots of people have like more than 40 minutes to spare anyway. So I think what you said last time when we were finishing off was that, yeah, there were a few other things that you wanted to talk about. And then
Yeah,
I wanted to speak to you about some things as well. And of course, I want to keep it interesting because we only have 40 minutes. So what I don't want to do is drag any one topic off too long where people are getting bored. They'll just switch off and then they won't watch the rest of this. So what I
yeah.
want to do is keep it interesting and talk about stuff that people are actually interested in. So
Great.
before I start asking questions, because the kind of questions I want to ask you is about your experience in Speaker's Corner and the kind of things that have happened there, and what is your impression of especially Muslims living here, because I'm sure you've experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly. Integration, what is the real issue? A lot of people are saying it's the ideology, but there are good Muslims too. Like what is going on? So those are the deep questions that I'm trying to get to the bottom of, because I want positive social reform generally, right? I've
Yeah.
got two kids and I am concerned about the future generations. I'm literally shitting myself, to be fair. And while I still have the energy, I'm like, I'm going to try to do my part for society now, because I don't think I'm going to have the energy in 5 to 10 years' time. Like, I'm just not going to have the energy. So while I have it, I'll do my part. So, but before we get into the deep stuff, is there anything you want to talk about?
You know what? I think it may be more interesting if you ask the questions and then I dive into some things because this sounds like some spicy topics.
I always come up with the spicy stuff. Anyway, so it's basically what I said. So, in terms of what I've just said, I'm concerned about the future. I want to make positive social reform in the society I'm living in, the country that I'm living in. Are you concerned about the future? How do you see the direction of this country going? What's happening?
Oh, of course, yeah. I'm interested in the future of this country. Like I live here. I've been raised here and things like that. So, yeah, I'm interested in that. And like me as a West Indian, we have a lot of history going back in this country, like from the 60s and stuff, 50s and 60s, Windrush, you had many West Indians that came here. So yeah, 100%.
So, what are your concerns in relation to anything in particular, or like, why are you concerned?
Well, it's I wanted to go into some of that when you asked some questions about Speaker's Corner and other things so I
But
can,
it's an open question. Feel free
yeah.
to talk about, like,
So
you
it's
don't
just,
wait for me to necessarily ask the direct question.
yeah,
Feel free to like just
I
yeah.
understand. Yeah. It's just like the thing is, I think that there's like some people here that is not really fitting with Western values. And, when I see some of these people in the streets preaching hate and stuff, and it's like, hey, back in your country, some of these countries like Afghanistan, maybe some parts of Pakistan, but places like Iran and all that, wherein, they may employ Sharia and things like this. And their parents and grandparents came here to escape Sharia because they don't want Sharia. And then I see these people preaching hate in the street like Sharia, um, we're going to do this and that, should happen to the people who don't believe in this religion. Um, People have been threatened with assault. Women have been threatened with rape. All this kind
In
of,
front of you.
not in front of me, but like there was things that I've heard from some women that, said they had been threatened with these things. And even on one of your videos, you said some people were threatening you with all types of madness.
Yeah, and I have had horrible messages. I've blocked those people and I've reported it to the police, because you can't tell whether someone's just is it just like that they're just upset and they've threatened you, or is it really like they're really going to do something. You just can't tell. And of course that does make me sad, because I feel like, oh my God, like, if people from the same race and religion of these people, if these people who need to reform themselves are not going to listen to people of the same race and religion that they come from, that they themselves come from, they're not going to listen to anybody, and it just upsets me because I feel as if like uh I'm not used to it. Like, I'm not used to this kind of stuff. I don't think I've said
Yeah.
anything so bad where someone needs to threaten my life. I've been very respectful, I thought, because and because I come from that race and religion, I've actually been quite respectful, whereas other people are probably not going to be as respectful. So if you don't even have the tolerance of for that, I just feel it's completely uncalled for. You should never ever threaten anyone's life and stuff like that. Like, how deranged and can you be to do that kind of stuff? I could never imagine that I threaten someone's life, even if I disagreed with them, because that's just uncivil. Have you had any threats?
No, no, no. Like, I have like a group, and we have about maybe three Muslims in there. Um, there's one of them. He's recently added the group. He's a Turkish guy, so he's actually got a lot of substance. And me and him have had good discussions. And I said to him, even though I disagree with some things you're saying, at least you can bring like some kind of argument and maybe some what you might believe to be proof or whatever. But the other dude in the group, he's just like a heckler. We'd be talking, he'd be like, no, 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 that's wrong.
And what is the background of the heckler?
So he's from somewhere in West Africa.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
okay.
from
I thought you were
Gambia.
gonna say Pakistan. I was like, oh,
No,
Zaid.
because yeah, you see, this is the other issue as well, is like many people try to contrast being a Muslim onto a race. So if you're from somewhere in the Middle East, like Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, or if you're the Arabs from North Africa, they contrast it onto being a race. But in places like West Africa, even as far as like the Far East Asia, you have many different Muslims, Indonesia, etc. But the reality is, again, going back into this, one of the things I spoke about last week, the black Muslims are not really considered to be of any serious relevance. And the reality is that in the Muslim world, like somewhere like Gambia has no great importance, if I'm being quite honest. You
Do
know,
you think there's a difference between Muslims from the first world country and Muslims from the third world country? Do you think a lot of the issues we have in the UK is not necessarily because of the religion, but it's actually just a third world versus first world problem?
that's a bit tricky. I'll tell you why. So Saudi Arabia can be seen as like a first world Muslim country in the Middle East, but there's still people preaching hate there. And when you have MBS Mohammed bin Salman, he's locking them up now. Because I think in these countries, they're fed up of this rubbish. Even third world countries, like when you had some people trying to, with this whole Palestine protest and their supporters of Hamas and all of this, they just snatched the flags off them. I've seen some videos at football games and other places. They've finished with this nonsense because they've seen what's happening in Europe, where these people who are the Hamas supporters, right? They're going around breaking down doors in universities, running all through Tesco, throwing things all over the counter and causing a big disruption. And I just have to be very honest. It's like I'm tired of hearing about this Palestine and Hamas support because when they're claiming they care about humanity, I'm saying that there's an Islamic slave trade going on in Africa, right? In North Africa, where the Arab Muslims are enslaving the blacks, along with a few blacks that help them, right? Because they're also Muslims. But they don't care if the person is a black Muslim. They're enslaving black Muslims, black atheists, black Christians. Just as long as you are black, they can enslave you. So I don't want to hear anything about like when they
Okay.
come back
You
from
meant you mentioned that. Can I ask? So you mentioned pro Hamas supporters and pro Palestine supporters, and this reminds me of something Suella Braverman said, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with what she said. So she said, she called the pro Palestine supporters hate marchers and pro Hamas supporters.
yeah.
Do you agree with that? I don't. So before you say anything, I'll say I don't,
Yeah.
because I feel everyone has a right to protest peacefully in this country, whether you're
Yeah, yeah,
pro-Israel, pro-Palestine.
I agree.
Of course, there were some extremists in the marches, but I don't think that should reflect on brandishing every protester in there as a pro-Hamas.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
I
not
saw the
everyone.
yeah.
Yeah. That's correct. So not everyone in the protest is pro-Hamas. There's people who is just blindly in the protest and don't know the whole ins and outs of everything. But there is people that I've spoken to and people I had seen on videos which were clear Hamas supporters. And I won't get into this topic about anti-Semitism because it's garbage, because Arabs are Semites as well. So that argument is foolishness. But there's clear Hamas supporters, and there is people that I have spoken to that agrees with Hamas who took sex slaves on October the 7th, and they killed man,
Women,
woman, and child.
women or men that agree with
Men, but
that?
I've spoken to some men that agreed with this, but I've seen some videos. There's one, I'm going to send you it on the Instagram later, where there's actually an Arab Muslim woman. She's maybe in her 50s, and she's saying, yes, of the infidel, you have to take the sex slaves.
And sorry, and which language is this lady speaking?
Arabic.
Yeah, someone sent me this video. I think it was you.
Probably.
You already sent me this video, and I was so disgusted and repulsed. And then I made my video. There's too many red flags for me. You know that video that I did? There's too many red flags for me,
You
guys.
made a lot of these videos. I can't lie. There's too many.
What?
Like
There's
seems
too
like
many. I release one video a day. That is stamina, mate. That's the stamina you need for your YouTube channel. That's the stamina you need. And this is, I'm going to do a separate video of this if anyone's interested. To have your YouTube channel, and if you want to monetize it, you need the stamina. Not everyone has the stamina. That's why not everyone's able to monetize. That's me blowing my own trumpet a little bit, but I deserve it, right? Because I've worked my ass off. Now, going back to the point, you sent me that, and I was so effing repulsed by that. That's the first time I've ever heard anybody, though, say this kind of stuff. I've never heard anybody. Yeah, go on.
You see, this is the thing. That's why I'm telling you, when we talk about the rape gangs, right? And people call it Muslim rape gangs. So there was the brother in my group, he's Turkish, and he's saying, no, that's more of an East Indian problem. But I'm saying in this country, yes, the main bulk of the group are East Indians, but you see overlap. You'll see a few Somalis who joined with this stuff, and the Arabs, because when you could see that woman who was clearly openly preaching on a TV channel that you're allowed to rape infidels, you have two types, either the woman you marry or the sex slave.
But but I would want to know who she is. Which channel was she on? Like, I don't know who, and people who are watching this aren't going to know what we're talking about. But basically, there's a video that you sent me where there was a lady who's speaking in Arabic, and obviously I don't understand Arabic, but I was looking at the translation. So obviously I'm assuming the translation was correct for what she was saying. But I was repulsed by her expressions and her voice, along with the translation of. I was like, oh my God, I do not support this kind of behavior. I'm running as far as possible,
What people don't understand, this is more common than you actually think. And that's where I wanted to get into the speaker's corner thing. So my personal experience, so I'll explain it. Before I'd gone and done a few conversations in Speaker's Corner. But before that, I knew about Speaker's Corner for years because I watched people like Sarah Garvey, people like Mohammed Hijab, Ali Dawa, and he had a few debates with them. But then later on, I saw this white man, Bob, and I was like, who's this guy? And I listened to some of his stuff. He was speaking about Christianity, then he had some debates with the Muslims, and then he would bring up like certain hadith, certain parts in the Quran and all that. And I would hear people openly saying that they would have no issue with the slave trade being over here under Sharia law. They said they had no problem with sex slaves. They had no issue with marrying 9-year-olds. And this is a big problem because even when you look at other countries, for example, Turkey, they had problems with some of the Afghans because, they were harassing 14 and 15-year-old girls in the street. And one mayor guy, he said, how do you integrate them? They're used to marrying 9-year-olds. So when I hear people coming here who's, in this country and they're saying they want these things to happen and all that, but didn't their parents or grandparents escape their countries because of these things?
Can I just stop you there? So I don't think everyone came to this country because they escaped their country necessarily. Like, for example, my
Yes, but some
grandparents,
did, some, not all,
yeah,
some.
I feel most migrants are economical migrants because they still have strong ties to their country and they go, like, for example, Pakistanis go every year or twice a year, right?
Mhm.
So they haven't escaped, they haven't come from
Yeah,
Pakistan
yeah,
to
yeah.
escape
It's not saying
Pakistan.
all. Some escape. Some,
Yeah, I would say some. I would say there's more. The
some.
majority are economical migrants, and they. I feel it's more of a culture thing where they want to come here for the money, but they miss their home, they miss their culture, and then they trying to create the country in this country to have the best of
Yeah,
both worlds.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the thing is like sometimes when people go to another country, there's gonna have to be things where you can learn to like, I don't know if assimilate is the right word, but it's like, some Western and Eastern values, it doesn't mix together.
I agree with this. I would say that, and because of the rate of migration into this country, and because people have created their own communities, people don't feel the need to integrate because if everyone's wearing the cultural clothes and you're just another person wearing the cultural clothes, if everyone's speaking your language and no one's speaking English language, or you actually only need one person in the group or the house to know English to communicate with everybody else,
Yeah,
that's enough, right? Why bother to learn the language? Because what a lot of people do who come into this country, they watch programs, TV programs in their language,
your language.
so they don't actually learn. And that's the thing. So can I ask again, because the thing with Afghanistan is it is a third world country like Pakistan. So again, is it like a third? Do you see any people from the first world
Um,
do
I,
these
I,
behaviors?
I have, like, is it UAE, somewhere like where is it? Like Qatar and some other place. I was speaking to one guy there. But the thing is with them is that these countries, they've moved away from the harsh kind of Sharia law. And then, for example, if I meet an Iranian, where we could say some parts of Iran is third world, other parts maybe first world. But most Iranians that I've ever spoken to, when I speak to them in private, a lot of them will say that they're not Muslims. And they've done an online survey. You can look this up yourself. Actually, around 70% of Iranians do not identify as Muslim. But on the regular paper, they have to say they're Muslim because if not, they can get beaten, they can get put in jail, and many have been sentenced to death. Oh,
And
yeah.
I think this goes back and reminds me of one of the other videos I made a long time ago. And of course, you're not going to know because I make too many videos for you.
I've
But
watched a lot of your videos, like more than 10.
I'm joking. I'm joking. And this is where I've said that I feel so, and this is the type of messages I was trying to get through to a lot of Muslims was that sometimes Muslims are the ones putting people off of Islam because when you try to impose
Watch that
Islam or
video.
force Islam and you try to do this kind of stuff, you can't. There's no compulsion in religion. You can't force someone to believe in something. They may lie, or they may be scared and all that kind of stuff, and so they may lie temporarily. But it will always come from the heart, and if you're going to instantly
Point.
give a bad impression of Islam and then you're just going to put people off. That's what I feel. And I think unfortunately that's what's happened to me. And I've said this before. I would say that yeah, I do have I am looking into the religion. I'm looking into all religions, but I'm still learning about Islam, but there are some things that I'm not comfortable with about some things that I've learned, but the biggest red flag for me are more some of the extremist people, because I'm like, look, I'm a very normal person. I believe in tolerance, I believe in peace, I believe in love. So whatever religion or version of any religion I follow will have to be peaceful, tolerant, no kind of extremism. But I unfortunately have come across a few people who are just not very nice, and I just feel like, you really believe God's going to be happy with you when you're being horrible to other people, or you're like, and these people actually believe that. So I just feel sorry for them, to be honest. I think some of these people, I don't know whether they have mental health issues, but anyway, go on.
I think a lot of them do. Not trying to be rude or not trying to be funny. There's quite a few that come from like, what's the word I should use? Is it consanguine? I can't remember the word. Like where like a direct cousin marries and especially if it's a first cousin, I think that can create a lot of mental health problems. But what you're saying is true. It's like, I think a belief, it's what someone believes. So if you force someone into it, they don't truthfully believe in that. And that's what causes a lot of hypocrisy, like what Bob was saying. Like with these apostasy laws, it creates hypocrisy because there's people who are claiming to be Muslim and they're not Muslims. You have people who's going to the mosque, and I know one or two of them personally, and they're not Muslims. You have people
They're
leading.
going to the mosque here and they're not Muslim.
Yes, they're not Muslims
Why are they going to the mosque?
because they can't come out and tell their family they're not a Muslim. They'll get beaten up.
What is their background?
Um, one of them is Pakistani. The other one, who's actually Pakistani, he's had to leave his area where he's from. And yeah, there's people of other countries, and there was a guy, he's a doctor and he's a Muslim. He said people have come to him for, like, what do you call it? Not coaching. What's the word? I'm trying to remember the word. You know, like when you speak to someone and they tell you like their problems. What's the word of it again?
The consulting or what?
Yeah, something like that. And he said there's people
Counseling.
leading, yeah, counseling. He said there's people leading the prayer who's not Muslims. Basically an imam. He said they're not Muslims. They told him they are not a Muslim. They don't believe in it anymore, but they don't want to tell anyone because they're afraid.
So yeah, and I think this is why I feel as if when I hear, oh, the number of Islam is the fastest spreading religion in the world, I just feel, and you know, I feel these statistics are not true because, like you've said, there
Correct.
are apostasy laws where if you were in a position and you didn't believe in it, you would just lie because you want to live, you know? And so there's a lot of pressure. And also, I feel a lot of people who are converting, not every single person, but some people who are converting don't necessarily understand the religion or apostasy laws. And they're
Yeah.
just given a dream of this is what it is. And they, you know, they're not told the detail. I
Yeah.
feel so there's lots of things like that. Whereas I would say that in any religion where there is not any compulsion whatsoever, there are not any apostasy laws, which is every single other religion. Those are the true stats of who's really a Christian, who's really Jewish, because there's no compulsion there. There's no fear of we have to lie. You know, so I would believe in those stats more. But unfortunately, when you try to highlight these logical things, some people just are very defensive over it. They don't want to listen and engage with the argument. Unfortunately, what I genuinely feel is, after doing all the research that I've done, is it is a personal choice what religion you believe in, and it's between you and God. And just for argument's sake, just say there is a religion that is a true religion, and you know, from God.
Yeah, true.
True, just say for argument's sake, there is just say a true religion. I would say even if you don't follow that religion, I feel as long as you are someone who is trying to seek the truth and your intent was good and you were trying to be a good person, I feel God will take all that into consideration. I don't
I'm
think that
kind of
God
on
will
that wavelength.
discriminate.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm kind of on that wavelength as well. Have you looked into atheism?
I'm never going to look into atheism because
I'm
I'm not an
trolling.
atheist. No.
Yeah, I'm
Are you an
trolling.
atheist?
I'm not an atheist per
Oh, yeah,
se.
you said you're not an atheist. You said that you don't subscribe to a religion, but you believe in God, but you don't subscribe to religion. No,
Yeah.
I'm definitely not an atheist because I have had supernatural experiences. I definitely believe in God, but I believe in intent matters, being a good human matters, and I feel even the fact that there are so many religions, I feel it's a test of how we're going to behave with people of different religions. Are we going to discriminate
What?
against? I feel it's a test from God. I feel it's a
Yeah.
test from God. I think we're all being put in different religions on purpose in a way, you know, you know, because God's decided which family we're born into, right? So I feel even that is a test. I
Yeah.
feel our race is a test. I feel our gender is a test. I feel everything is a test in a way. I feel.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Have you seen that movie Existence? It's a
No.
very old movie. Existence is an amazing movie. There are some movies that I talk about that basically explain what I feel about life. One is I've forgotten the name now. One is The Matrix, one is Existence, and one is Interstellar. These three movies sum
To
up
send you
how
some clips of the film.
yeah, Matrix is when they're saying that you know there's something odd about the world, but you just can't put your finger on it. That's
Yeah.
what I feel. Like we're literally in the Matrix for the
I
soul,
can
I
agree
feel.
on that. I can agree on that.
And then Existence is, oh, I love Existence. I really want to watch that movie as well. But basically, it's about a game designer, and she creates a pods where you pod yourself in and you go into the game. But you need to play the game to find out why you're playing the game. That's how
Oh,
I see life. You have to live life to understand why you're living the life.
that's
And
it.
then the third one was Interstellar, where have you seen Interstellar?
No.
Oh my God, you've not seen these bloody movies apart from the Matrix,
You
you
know what
crazy
is? I
person.
probably have seen it, but I just don't. Remember the name of it?
Matthew McConaughey. But basically, when they go, watch it afterwards. It's you have to watch it. Part 2 is going to come out, I think, next year. So
Okay.
Interstellar, basically, he goes in. They go into space and they go through a black hole, and each is it minute or second in another planet is like 10 years on Earth or something, and he's left his children behind. So basically, they're aging, and he's basically trying to save planet Earth, and he goes through a black hole. And basically, they meet beings in another dimension, and but it's actually themselves in. It's really strange. But basically, what they talk about, they mention one thing, and I don't want to bore the viewers, but they mention one thing is they say that only love can transcend all dimensions. And I believe in that because my father's soul communicated with me when he died. So then I remember that the love transcends dimensions, can pass through the dimensions. So these movies, I feel they're not movies. People know stuff, and they make movies out of this kind of stuff. Sorry, why
No,
are we talking about movies?
true. It's
It's
true.
interesting. Watch Interstellar, Matrix, and Existence. And if you guys viewers have watched these movies, let me know about them
Yeah.
and how you feel. Sorry, I
Um,
think I bored you now. You're thinking, what
no,
the
no,
hell
no,
is she doing?
no, no, no. I'm listening. I'm listening. It was some good points you made. Really good points. Um, yeah.
Yes.
So like, what I was gonna say is like, I think that you know, like in this country, right? What it is like, there's a lot of people here of many different cultures, ethnicities, and all that. I think the West Indians, we've probably been here the longest out of any other group. Have we integrated? Hell yeah. Some of us have integrated a bit too much.
Like, what do you mean too much?
Um, just it's many ways, because you see, like me, for example. So I'll put it this way, and I know, like you said opposite to what I'm gonna say, but me, if someone asks me, I always classify myself as Jamaican, always, right? There's some that might even be telling you that they're English, right? But for me, I'm always a Jamaican. I'm a British Jamaican, but I'm a Jamaican, right? So I think like when people come here, yes, there's some things you're going to learn here, some things you may do, but I think also at the same time it's very good when you do keep many elements of your culture. But I just think that if it's something that like harms people and is problematic in this culture, then no, you don't keep it,
I
you know.
agree with that. I think there is a difference between culture and religion, and a lot of people, especially from third world countries, mix the two up and they create a horrible, ugly hybrid. I feel. Go on.
My point is, you see, this argument, when people say that religion and culture is different, I disagree. And I tell you why I disagree with that. Every religion that I can see on planet Earth came out of a culture of people. Every. If you look at Buddhism, Sikh, Hindu, um, like just everything came out of a culture of the people. Like the Bible came out of a culture of people. So I think like when we say culture and religion, you see, this is my take on it, especially if we're talking about Islam. What Islam did when it has been spread to different peoples all over the world, you see the people have been suppressed under that religion. So many elements of their culture had been removed. There's some cultures, like for example, if I don't know, like Turkish, and let's say so the Turks in what we call Turkey today, and let's say some parts of the Indian subcontinent, like if you look at like the Urdu language and maybe one or two other language, their script is Arabic. Like the Turkish script was Arabic, right? Now, my thing is like, what is the need to change it to an Arabic script? What is the need? Like when you look at many other things people had in their culture, and we could go into a few of those things, but those things have been wiped out. You ask certain people where their origin is. Some people who are not Arabs are trying to tell you that they are Arabs. And this is what has happened to several people. The culture has been wiped out.
I
Well,
would
not all
say,
of it, but
I
elements
would,
of it have been removed.
I would say, I think there are. I think you'll get on this planet Earth where there's so many billions of people and so many countries and so many languages. There are a spectrum of people across the spectrum, basically. And I feel you will find almost every kind of situation and scenario playing out. And where I see a difference between culture and religion is where sometimes things are in the culture that are actually against the religion, but people have been told from childhood that this is religion. Pakistani community does that quite a lot. And the reason they do that quite a lot is because Pakistan was part of India, and in India is majority Hindu country. The Muslims in India have been quite a lot influenced by Hinduism. They don't even realize it, but you realize it in Pakistan because they're doing a lot of things that actually come from the Hindu culture, like wearing a red dress and all that kind of stuff in marriage. That's not Islamic. You're supposed to wear plain colors, you know. So there
So,
is a difference between culture and religion, I feel.
but I agree with that. But Hindu or Hinduism, as some people call it, is also a religion. And it's come from a culture of people. It's come from the East Indians, right? So the Pakistanis, they've adopted this religion, the Islamic religion, from the Arabs. That's where they got this from. Or some will say, like, when the Mongols or Turks or whatever invaded or whatever. But originally, like, even when you look at the Turks, this wasn't their religion either. They were just migrating from Asia, right? Because there was persecution, other things going on. And then they came into Antalya and they adopted the religion because they wanted the Arabs to help them. And they said, look, you need to become Muslim. So that's what I'm saying. Every religion we look at comes out of a culture of people. Every religion on earth.
Yes, but if you are taking things from other people's religion, be it, which is not your religion, and then you're mixing it in, that is actually not your religion. That's then your culture. That's the difference I
That's
feel. And
I
that's what's
agree
happened.
with
And
that.
even Hinduism, what they think they've taken from Hinduism, Hindus may not, that may not be part of their religion. That may be a culture which they've also taken from somewhere else. So it's going to be
So,
difficult to pin that out. But we
yeah,
do only have 7 minutes left, so I just want to
sorry.
point that out.
Yeah. So no, I do agree. I think what's happened as well is like when you look at like the Indian subcontinent or whatever, yeah, there's some things they might have gotten from the Mongols, some things they've even gotten from the Europeans, because it wasn't like just 100 or 200 years ago Europeans came there. There's been different waves of Europeans coming in and out of these places.
Ottoman Empire, British Empire, Roman Empire, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And
I
way
what what I'd like to ask you is going back to this country, how are we going to, do you think how can we resolve the issues in this country, the migration, the lack of integration across, what,
I look at it like this. Certain people that is coming into the countries, right? And they come from certain coming into this country and they come from certain problematic, what people may class as problematic places. It could be northern Nigeria. It could be, I don't know if Sudan is seen as problematic, certain other countries. They need to be researched. And some of these people that we see on the streets preaching hate, or people that we see in Speaker's Corner preaching about that it's okay for child marriage and slavery, they need to be researched and find out if they're sympathetic to other Islamist ideologies, right? And if they want to harm people, because what these people are doing, they're not just harming Christians, they're not just harming atheists and people of other religions, they're harming people who are also Muslims. And these people, they should be found and dealt with, and some of them just deport them.
when you say they've been harming other Muslims, what do you mean? What examples can you give?
For example, if you look at the Michaela school, you know, if the lady,
Yes, yes.
something like that, she made a secular school. And people are coming there, bringing the religion, prayer mats, all of these kind of things. But what they were doing is they're bullying and trying to force other Muslims who don't want to pray. They're trying
Yes, that's
to
what
bully them.
I made a video on this and I said, look, because I've experienced the same thing when I went high school.
Yeah.
This is many years ago, where there was yeah, girls who were forced to wear a hijab themselves, unfortunately, and then they're trying to bully me, and then even the whole, are you fasting? Are you not fasting today? Why are you
None of
eating
their
this?
business.
Yeah, and in high school is that age where there is bullying behavior. And I don't want to deal with that. I didn't want to deal with that when I was in high school. This is ages ago. So I understand that, do you know what? When you go to school, the fact is this is not a Muslim country and that is not a Muslim school. And you can migrate if there are faith schools in this country. You could always make that move. Of course, it will be a bit of effort for the family to do that, but if they really are passionate about it, then why would then that's something they need to look to do. I agree with that. And what about other issues? Like, have you met good Muslims?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
What is your ratio of good Muslims to extremists that you've experienced?
Sometimes we just don't really know because when I've had some conversations with some that, maybe I just see and I'm like, oh, hi, how are you, bro? But when I've had deeper conversations with them, like I've heard people saying to me, like, oh, this one and that one should be killed. This needs to be done. Like I've heard them saying all types of things, and we just really don't know. But I can say, for example, the Turkish guy I speak with, he's cool. He's cool. But I did say to him, Turkey, I don't see Turkey as like a proper Muslim or Islamic country. They've been secular. It was Ataturk who even dissolved the Ottoman Empire. That's from the 1920s. So, Turks, they're always known to like sell pork, drink. They're known to do all sorts. So I
Do
said,
they? Oh, okay.
they're all known to do this. So I said to him, with all due respect, like, you're coming from a quite mellow background. If I want to go somewhere fun to party with in the Middle East, I'm going to go to Turkey or to Bahrain, right? So, like he's meant to be coming out with me to one of the clubs tomorrow.
Okay. Is he one of the people who is pretending to be Muslim?
I don't know. He says he's not going to drink. You know what? Let me not say
Do you know,
anymore.
look, and this
Too
is what
much
I'm saying.
away.
I've met
I'm giving too much away.
no, no, it's fine. Don't worry. I think there is a spectrum of Muslims as well. There are those people like who you've said are pretending to be Muslims. They're not really Muslim.
No, he is.
No,
He
no,
is.
no. I'm not talking about your friend. I'm talking generally. I've seen a spectrum of Muslims. There are those Muslims who will go to the pub, but they won't drink alcohol, but they'll have a drink like orange juice or Coke. But
They
so that
drink
they'll
alcohol sometimes, though. Trust
no,
me.
no. I'm saying there's a spectrum of Muslims. There are
Oh,
those Muslims who will say they're Muslim and they will drink alcohol. There are those Muslims who will go to the pub, not drink alcohol, but have Coke and orange juice. But they're integrating, right? And then there are those Muslims who will not even step into the pub because alcohol is being served. Although that's funny because
mm.
every single supermarket also serves alcohol, but they have no problem shopping in the
So they would
supermarket.
go nowhere then.
Exactly. But and so there is a spectrum of Muslims as well. I would say
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
personally,
100%.
exactly. I would say this is what I feel as if you feel like you're living in a country where you're having to really, really be like walk on eggshells because you can't go here and you can't go there, maybe consider, obviously you can live here if you want, but like maybe consider yourself whether that's a healthy way to live where you're restricting yourself. Maybe it is just better to just migrate somewhere. And there's so many countries with a British passport that you can go you'll get good jobs. You've got the British passport. You don't need to walk on eggshells. You don't have this issue,
Go to Afghanistan. It would be lovely in Afghanistan.
really?
Yeah, go to Afghanistan. No, because no, it's true. You know why? Because some of those who say they want Sharia, I'm like, cool, go to Afghanistan. Enjoy it there.
If
You
they
know.
really want to go there, sure. We've literally got 1 minute left. So those are the main things. Yeah, this was an interesting conversation. We've touched on some
Yeah,
different
yeah. This
things.
one was funny today. I can't lie.
Was it? We'll watch
Yeah,
you'll
yeah,
watch
it
it
was
back. I'll probably
funny.
release it on Sunday.
You can't release it earlier.
I'm releasing another interview on Saturday, and I like to keep the topics a little bit different. But thank you so much for coming, and hopefully you can come back again and we can talk about other stuff.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna do that. Maybe we'll talk about fitness.
Fitness. Ooh, okay, I'm not
Yeah.
that fit, but anyway. Cool. All right. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
All right.
See ya.